Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm really excited about today, actually. We're going to peel back the layers on something, well, fundamental, but often totally overlooked: hot melt adhesives, HMAs.
The invisible glue, you could say.
Exactly, holding so much together. So our mission today, if you will, is to cut through a load of data. We've got this comprehensive market report.
From cognitive market research.
Right. And we're going to forecast the HMA market's growth story. We're looking at 2021 right through to 2033, every region.
Looking for those underlying currents.
Yeah, what are these sticky trends really telling us about, global industry, economics, that kind of thing? Let's dive in. Okay, so setting the stage, the big picture, globally.
Always good to start there.
In 2021, the HMA market, it pulled in nearly 8.75 billion US dollars. That's global sales.
Right.
And by 2033, the projection is it climbs to over $12.18 billion.
Okay.
So that translates to a global compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of about 2.8% over that whole period.
And you know what's really interesting about that 2.8% figure?
Tell me.
Well, it's not flashy, is it? It's not like explosive tech growth.
No, definitely not.
But it's remarkably consistent, resilient, that's the word I'd use. This market isn't driven by fads or anything.
Right.
It really signifies that HMAs are just fundamental. They're building blocks in so many industries: packaging, automotive, textiles, construction, you name it. So that steady expansion tells us that, underlying industrial activity, innovation, it's all ticking along, growing reliably. It's a signal of sort of underlying economic health.
That makes perfect sense. They really are everywhere, even if we don't consciously see them. Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. First, big region, North America.
Okay.
Here, the HMA market was just over $3.15 billion back in 2021.
Right.
And it's set to reach roughly $4.25 billion by 2033. So the regional CAGR here is about 2.6%, a little under the global average.
Yeah, and North America is a fascinating little microcosm. You see some real variety there.
Yeah.
The U.S., obviously, it's the dominant player.
Yeah.
Takes the lion's share of that revenue. Yeah. But its KGR is around 2.3%. So slightly slower. It suggests a mature market. HMAs are already everywhere. Growth is more incremental, maybe new product types, efficiency gains.
Not huge expansion.
Exactly. But then look at Canada. It shows a healthier CGR, nearly 3.3%.
Okay, that's stronger.
But here's where it gets really interesting if you dig deeper. Mexico. Its HMA market is projected to grow with an impressive KGR of almost 5.7%.
Wow, that's significantly higher.
It really is. And that strongly suggests, well, a booming manufacturing sector down there, very likely fueled by things like nearshoring trends.
Makes sense. Companies moving production closer.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Closer to North American consumers. So demand for the adhesives to, well, put everything together just skyrockets. It's a clear indicator of those big supply chain shifts happening right now.
Yeah, that insight into Mexico really highlights those broader economic movements, doesn't it? It's not just about glue.
Not at all.
Okay, shifting gears. Let's cross the Atlantic. Europe, known for its diverse economies.
Right, another complex picture.
The European HMA market, valued around $2.6 billion in 2021, forecast to hit about $3.52 billion by 2033. And the regional CGR is about 2.55%. Again, pretty close to North America.
Yes, but Europe presents a really fragmented view when you break it down. You look at the big industrial powers, Germany, the UK, France.
Wow.
Their KGRs are sort of moderate, generally between, say, 2.1% and 3.2%, which kind of fits, right? Mature industrial landscape, HMA is already widely used.
So similar drivers to the U.S., maybe? Specialty stuff, regulations?
Likely, yes. Things like environmental rules pushing new formulations, maybe more automation, needing specific adhesives, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But then you see some other established markets, Italy, Russia, Sweden, even Switzerland, showing significantly slower growth. KGR is often below 2%.
Really? Sweden and Switzerland even lower?
Yeah, dipping below 1% in those cases. It could point to, well, highly saturated markets, maybe specific industrial downturns, or perhaps a focus on very high-value, low-volume manufacturing where you just don't use as much adhesive overall.
Interesting contrast.
It is. And then you see stronger pockets, Luxembourg, surprisingly almost 2.4 per city CAGR, and especially the rest of Europe category.
Oh, what's that doing?
Projected to grow by an impressive 4.7%. So it suggests that while the core European markets are stable, maybe newer industrial hubs or big infrastructure projects elsewhere on the continent are driving some really dynamic expansion.
That's quite a range. Shows how different things can be even within one region.
Okay, let's keep unpacking this. Let's head over to Asia Pacific. Dynamic is definitely the word here.
Absolutely, a huge and varied region.
So APAC stood at just over $2 billion in 2021, expected to climb to nearly $2.83 billion by 2033. That gives it a regional to KGR of about 2.93%, slightly above the global average.
Right. And Asia-Pacific is, as you said, a mix. You've got the giants, China and Japan, still huge contributors in terms of volume.
Sure.
But their CGRs are more moderate,
Right.
around 2.2% to 2.4%, largely because their industrial bases are already so massive.
Mature in their own way.
Exactly. But the real story of acceleration in APAC, I think, is India. Ah, yes. What are the numbers there?
India is projected to grow with a really robust KGR of almost 4%.
4%. Okay, that's significant.
It really is. It's a strong indicator of India's rapid industrialization, huge infrastructure development, a growing middle class demanding more consumer goods.
All needing adhesive.
All needing HMAs, exactly. Packaging, assembly, everything.
And beyond the big three.
Well, you see steady growth in places like South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, all hovering around 2.6 to 2.8% CAGR, which reflects their strong manufacturing, tech sectors, export focus.
Makes sense.
Even Southeast Asia, as a collective group, is showing healthy expansion, nearly 3.3% CAGR. Australia, though, is a bit more modest, just over 1.6%.
So quite varied, but India's momentum is really pulling that regional average up.
Definitely. It signals a major shift in manufacturing and consumption patterns within Asia.
Okay, let's move south now, South America. The data here suggests a slightly slower overall pace for HMAs.
Yeah, different story again.
Regional revenues were about $350 million in 2021, projected to reach nearly $438.5 million by 2033. That gives South America a CAGR of approximately 1.6%.
And what's fascinating here is how South America's HMA market presents, well, a different growth narrative compared to some other emerging regions we've talked about.
Oh, so?
Brazil, the biggest economy, shows a modest CAGR, just over 1.7%. Argentina is similar, around 1.8%. This slower pace, it could be a mix of things, right? Economic volatility, maybe dependency on commodity prices, perhaps industrial diversification isn't happening as fast as in parts of Asia or Africa.
Right, different challenges.
Different challenges, exactly. Colombia stands out a little, with a stronger CR of almost 2.4%, seems to have more consistent industrial activity.
Good.
But then countries like Peru and Chile, even slower growth. KGR is below 1.4%, and the rest of the South America category is quite subdued, below 0.5% CAGR. So collectively, it paints a picture of an HMA market that, yes, it's growing, but it's facing some unique headwinds, or maybe it's just in a more mature phase within its existing industrial structure, rather than seeing that rapid expansion we see elsewhere.
That contrast is certainly clear. Okay. But here's where it gets, as you said earlier, really interesting. Let's turn to the Middle East. This region is showing some strong momentum.
Definitely. Things are happening there.
Valued at roughly $332 million in 2021, projected to surge to nearly $500 million by 2033. That indicates a robust regional HER of about 3.5%, noticeably higher.
It is. And the Middle East is pretty dynamic for HMAs right now. You've got huge investments going into infrastructure, construction, diversifying economies away from just oil.
Right, those big national projects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, Turkey, both strong contributors. KLR is over 3.1%, fueled by those massive developments and growing consumer markets, too.
And the UAE.
The UAE really stands out. Powerful KR, nearly 4.2%, reflecting its role as that regional trade tourism hub. Confident construction, packaging needs.
Sustained demand.
Absolutely. Egypt and Qatar also show healthy growth, around 2.8% to 3.6%. So it's broad-based development.
Okay.
But what's particularly striking, similar to Europe in a way, is the rest of Middle East segment.
What's the figure there?
Delivering an impressive KGR of almost 5.3%.
5.3.
Yeah. It suggests that some of those smaller, maybe less talked about countries in the region are really undergoing rapid industrial expansion, modernization, creating significant new demand for adhesives. It's a region where, ambition is translating directly into market growth.
That's fascinating. Okay, last stop on our regional tour, Africa, which, maybe against expectations for some, stands out as the HMA market's strongest growth story.
It really does. The numbers are quite clear.
The market there started near $297.3 million in 2021, projected to reach an impressive $647 million by 2033. That gives us a remarkable regional CGR of almost 5.6%.
Nearly 5.6%.
Yeah.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, Africa's consistent high growth really positions it as, well, an emerging market powerhouse for these kinds of essential industrial materials.
Who's leading the charge within Africa?
Nigeria, leading with a KGR of nearly 5.8%. And South Africa's right there with it, showing the even slightly higher KGR, almost 6%.
6%? What's driving that?
It's a combination, really. Rapid urbanization is a huge factor. Burgeoning consumer goods industries, more things being made locally, and widespread infrastructure development, new housing, roads, factories, packaging plants.
All demanding HMAs?
All demanding HMAs. And even the rest of Africa's segment is robust. A healthy 4.5% CAGR there, too.
So it's widespread.
It is. This strong growth across the continent, especially when you compare it to the more modest rates in many developed regions, it signals profound economic shifts, a growing industrial base. It's not just potential anymore, it's active, significant expansion.
Okay, so let's pull back. We've gone around the globe. What does this all mean? What's the overarching narrative here? We started with that global trend, steady fundamental growth. Overall, CAGR, modest but reliable, 2.8%.
Exactly. And I think what the cognitive market research data really underscores is that resilience we talked about. HMAs aren't optional extras, they're essential, needed across almost every manufacturing sector. That provides a solid base.
Right.
But the real story, the actionable insight, comes from contrasting those regional dynamics, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We've seen mature markets, the U.S., Western Europe, growing steadily, but slower. Growth there is often driven by maybe niche innovations, new formulations.
Higher value, perhaps, not just volume.
Perhaps. But then you have the powerful growth engines in emerging markets. That surge in Mexico, almost 5.7% CAGR, that's strongly hinting at nearshoring. Supply chain shifts.
Hard to ignore.
Right. India's robust 4% growth, clear signal of accelerating industrialization, rising consumer demand. And Africa, nearly 5.6% regional CAGR, points towards urbanization, new manufacturing hubs being built out across the continent.
So these variations aren't just numbers on a page?
Not at all. They highlight where the global economy is actively restructuring, where new industrial opportunities are being forged, often quietly, behind the scenes, stuck together with adhesive.
That's a fantastic synthesis. Moving beyond the numbers to that picture of global economic evolution, it really is amazing how much insight you can get when you, unpack the data properly.
Indeed. And it leaves you thinking, considering that essential role of HMAs across so many industries and seeing this incredible range of growth rate, stability here, explosive expansion there, what specific industries, maybe beyond the obvious ones like packaging or automotive, do you think might become the next unexpected major drivers for HMA demand? And how might that further reshape global supply chains in the decade ahead?
Ooh, that is a great question to leave our listeners with, something really thought-provoking. Thank you for taking us through all that today.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparks your curiosity to keep exploring these often hidden forces shaping our world.